My man, Channel 5 guy, did it. The Alex Jones interview. I cannot believe it. I can't believe I went on vacation right as this thing came out. Oh my God.
Do you feel responsible for what happened to the Sandy Hook families?
Yes, I killed the children.
But beyond that,
I went in that school, I pulled a gun out, and I shot every one of them myself. I mean, I'm guilty. It's true.
We got him. Right there. Better investigative journalism than you see from any fucking mainstream news outlet. We got him, boys. Wrap him. Get him. Cuff him.
No, but
No, let's just, do I feel responsible that someone that played shoot 'em up video games on a bunch of drugs, went and killed a bunch of kids, and then the internet questioned it and I covered that?
They staged Sandy Hook. The evidence is just overwhelming. We've looked at all sides. We played devil's advocate from both sides.
No,
He's such a fucking coward, dude. The internet talked about it and I covered it. Like he was just dispassionately referring to the internet's skepticism towards Sandy Hook as though he wasn't the entire manufacturer of that.
Don't feel responsible, and I don't apologize anymore. I'm done. I don't apologize I killed the kids.
was there a definitive?
No, I killed them. I killed them.
You didn't kill him.
No, I did.
No, you didn't.
No, everybody said, no, I killed them. I killed them. I already admitted I did it. I killed them. I'm the bad guy. I'm the devil. Get rid of the First Amendment. Can we move on to other topics?
I don't think.
I killed them. First Amendment killed them. Second, get rid of the Second Amendment. Get rid of the First Amendment. They're bad. They killed the kids too. George Washington killed them. Jesus killed them. We should rename the whole planet Sandy Hook. Everything. There should be holidays. We should.
Because I always want to reiterate this, okay? I think Alex Jones is crazy, and I also think he's a grifter. But what he's doing right now is deliberate. This is intentional, and it's basically just a reducto ad absurdum. And it's basically just, I will make it impossible for us to talk about this subject seriously so that you can't, like, meaningfully accost me for any of the miserably bad stuff that I've done. You know, I will be so silly that it becomes a joke, right? It's bad faith. It is a dishonest tactic. It's something a coward and a liar does to avoid being held accountable.
Foul 5 times a day to New Haven, Connecticut for the kids that died. Every American's to blame. Every gun owner's to blame. I'm to blame. We're all guilty. To Bloomberg and Soros, turn our guns in. Turn our guns in. I know, I did it. I killed them. I killed them. I killed them. I know, I killed them. So I'm done talking about it. Okay. I killed them. Okay, go ahead.
Can we talk about the trial at all?
So again, like, this is how children act, right? You've all seen this, right? Where, like, somebody's in trouble and they're like, yeah, I did it. I did everything bad. I'm horrible. I did it. Okay. Like, the goal, like, to make it impossible to talk about it.
There's nothing to talk about. Yeah. Let me tell you, I don't know if I can do this interview right now. You liking it?
I don't think you should keep doing that.
What? Dude, I murdered those children. I did. I killed them myself.
Still not a funny thing to say. Yeah, I get the point, but it's just like, yeah.
Okay, I don't give a f***, dude. I'm far beyond giving a f*** right now.
I understand.
Dude, you want to take me out?
No, but I'm just saying, they really, that wasn't their intention.
That is, I'm so glad we got that there. From the back, the other guy saying, like, I know what you're doing, but, like, is this the right way to do it, you know? I just, it's so important to me, because the thing that always bugs me with Alex Jones, there are 2 things that bug me with Alex Jones, namely the way people treat him. One is that they pretend it's comedy, okay? Which it is, but they pretend that it's just comedy, right? Like, the comedic elements are there to give you, like, a plausible justification for the stupid shit that he says, and then you pick and choose what you decide to take seriously. And the second thing is people are like, you know, another thing Alex Jones is right about. Alex Jones has never been right about a goddamn thing. The only people give Alex Jones so much credit for saying, like, the elites are pedophiles. Wow, Marx was writing about that 150 years ago. Like, that's it. Like, that's what oh, wow, the elites are, like, crazy and inhuman and do horrible shit. And wow, ingenious, you know? Of course, Alex Jones is on good terms with a lot of those, you know, fucking elites. He was with the Trump train until it became more profitable to jump that ship.
A jury in the Alex Jones trial ordering the conspiracy theorists to pay $45.2 million to parents.
He was right about Iraq before it was common knowledge. Nah, bullshit. Bullshit. Tons of people were critical of Iraq and saying the government was lying. The Iraq War's beginning prompted the largest protests in the history of the world at the time. It is true that most people at the time were like kind of like drinking the Kool-Aid when it came to government propaganda or whatever, but all you had to do is be like relatively not anti-institutional and you would be like a big anti-Iraq war guy. He wasn't like the lone truth sayer out there, you know. There were plenty of real people. He was also against the Patriot Act. So we're no, okay, is it if Alex Jones says like, hey, this obviously bad thing is bad, like, am I to treat him as a prophet or Nostradamus for this? When I say, like, people treat Alex Jones as though he like, keeps getting these conspiracies right, you know, it's not a conspiracy that the Patriot Act was bad. Tons of people at the time were criticizing it.
Who lost their 6-year-old son in the Sandy Hook massacre for calling it a hoax.
Every sin ever committed on Earth in 10,000 years of history, I did it. The Night Stalker, the Zodiac Killer, I did it. Vietnam War, Hitler. I was actually Hitler. It wasn't Hitler. It was me. I did it. I was in a time machine in Germany. I did all that, okay?
Vaush interview.
I did everything. And that's what I accept. So, you're here with the bad guy. You're here with the villain. Lex Luthor, right now. You're talking to him right now. You're talking to Lex Luthor. How's it feel?
You don't feel like Lex Luthor to me.
I invented cancer.
How?
I just did it. Doesn't matter. I created death. People didn't die before I was born. I created heartburn. I created hemorrhoids. I created hangovers. I created...
Asshole.
Gingivitis.
That's a bad one.
I created hair loss. I created acne.
I wish you could do that one.
I created bad breath.
So yeah, now that we've accepted that.
I invented Prozac that Adam Lanza was on. I had his mom buy him the AR-15, give it to him. I was there, yeah. Did you know that all money in the universe was created by Sandy Hook? It was a time machine. Before the Rothschilds created fractional reserve banking, before tally sticks, before gold coins, the Roman era, it was the Sandy Hook event that created all money, future and forward. Yeah. Everything is that. Everything.
Well, I mean, how do you feel about like how your attorney did overall?
They said I was guilty beforehand because they couldn't have a real trial because they had 24 minutes out of 10 years of me talking about it, most of them me saying it happened. It's sick. It's disgusting. I was being sarcastic earlier. Yeah. I didn't kill the children. I'm not Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah. I didn't invent hemorrhoids. I simply question things, and they're trying to demonize me to say questioning things is a bad deal.
Okay, this is exactly what I mean. See, he alternates between the self reducto ad absurdum, where he reduces this whole thing to a joke, blah blah, I'm Hitler, la la, you know. But then it's the, well, actually, no, I really am the victim of this persecution. I've never done these things, you know. This is why the other Infowars employee was like dial this down, you know. Vaush, that's not reducto ad absurdum. Well, no, reducto ad absurdum is when you reduce a person's argument to an absurdity so it's laughed at rather than analyzed appropriately. In this case, he's doing that to himself as a character. I don't know what the appropriate term for it is, but no, it's not properly the fallacy. It's in the ballpark. But he jumps between these, you know. Obviously the goal is to avoid meaningful criticism, you know. I just think it's interesting the tactics that he uses. That's all of Alex Jones' shtick right now, right? Like, the whole thing that he does is like, how do I continue grifting off the same people who will buy my $80 like brain force pills, you know, without legally implicating myself further than I already have.
And elementary school massacre, 26 dead, 27 dead now, 18 kids in Connecticut. When you got small children, this really gets to you. That's why the globalists use children's deaths to go after our guns, because they know it gets to us. So don't ever think the globalists that have hijacked this country wouldn't stage something like this. They kill little kids all day, every day. And it's not our government, it's the globalist. I really think they're going to try to come after the guns. It's going to start a civil war.
Hey, guys. Did Sandy Hook lead to the passing of any meaningful gun restrictions? If the globalists are so powerful, couldn't they just, like, pass the gun reform? Like, do they really need to fight this, like, decades-long battle with the NRA? A single, like, private organization? Globalist means Jew, right? Yeah, it means Jew to most of the people who hear it. The point, the thing that makes the term globalist so powerful is that it's just a politically correct Jewish question. And I mean politically correct in like the classical sense. Like it is literally like the polite euphemism. So you read into it what you want, right? It's kind of like saying thug instead of like black guy. Thug doesn't mean black guy. But if some types of people are like, yeah, I hate the inner city, there are so many thugs there. Like, you know what they're saying, but they don't have to own up to it. Because if you say, you mean like black people? They can be like, whoa, I just said thugs. What do you mean black people? One of them was Mexican, you know? What's wrong with you? The whole point, it's like the deliberate euphemization. And a lot of people have issues with globalism as a sort of economic and political structure. Socialists do, for example. There are plenty of problems with international capital, which is kind of like the driving force behind much of what we would call globalism. But when they say globalists, of course, they don't really mean the international capitalist class, because Alex Jones is a capitalist. He likes big business. He does not support restrictions on big business.
I clearly believe from the evidence children were really killed in Sandy Hook, and it's a real tragedy. Unfortunately, evidence is beginning to come out. People who've been coached, people who've been given cue cards, who are behaving like actors.
I dropped Billy off and watched him go around the corner, and he never came back, all because of the guns. Won't you just turn your guns in for my son? I mean, folks, we've got video of Anderson Cooper with clear blue screen out there.
Nothing can account for what happens to his nose.
What?
With clear blue screen out there.
Nothing can account for what happens to his nose.
That's just video artifact. Wait, what? That's just video artifacting.
With clear blue screen out there.
Nothing can account for what happens to his nose.
Okay, yeah, no, that's just, yeah, he made a big deal out of that. Artemis' tail is hitting the pause button. Artemis, that's the space key. Oh my god. I'm moving the keyboard to the far side of the desk.
Early on, I said, well, they had to have killed somebody. I mean, this doesn't make sense. Then parents come out and start...
Actually, wait. Now that I think about it, hasn't a huge, like, portion of conspiracy theory analysis online had to change to accommodate modern 4K video? Because it used to be when stuff was recorded at a lower resolution and you had to deal with all the, like, interlacing and artifacting that was common to early internet era stuff, there was a lot more, like, visual ambiguity. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like the Bigfoot stuff. Like, there are way fewer, like, Bigfoot hoaxes and UFO hoaxes these days because everyone has, like, 4K video cameras in their pockets, you know? So it's way harder to, you know, get away with that. I remember the one where it was George W. Bush talking in front of the White House, and there was, like, a gray alien in the camera or something, or there would be those times there was like video artifacting errors on people's faces and they would be like, oh, that's the reptilian skin mask falling apart. Yeah,
laughing and then turn to the camera and cry. No one died in 2012 in Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook is a synthetic, completely fake, with actors, in my view, manufactured. I couldn't believe it at first. I knew they had actors there, clearly, but I thought they killed some real kids. And it just shows how bold they are.
So this, I think this was like where Alex Jones finally, like, Alexed the Jones in the greatest possible sense. Because he's always been a crazy conspiracy guy. When he first said that, like, Sandy Hook was a false flag, I think he believed that, or at least partially believed that. But when it got really big, as it got more popular and the people who followed him got crazier and crazier, I think that he was sort of economically incentivized to take it further and further. So initially he would just say, like, yeah, kids really died there, but, like, this was probably some setup, like the feds gave some kid a gun for the Sandy Hook massacre, and now he has to believe that it's all, like, reptilian people and, like, holograms and shit, because it appeals to the crazies in his audience. And if you ever wonder how it gets this far, understand this. Alex Jones makes the most money and gets the most attention whenever he has the most scandalous and bombastic claims to make. Whenever he can say, like, new evidence proves holograms used at Sandy Hook site. What is this device? Artemis. every time he comes out with some new like bullshit breaking news, you know, whatever, it's a, you know, exacerbates.
People come up to me in hotels and in grocery stores, and I'll be walking my dog, and they just go, the car will go, "Roar! You son of a bitch, quit, leave those kids alone." And I'll be like, I never talk about it. The media, shut up, you son. And some people have confronted me in front of my wife and children and said, "You son of a bitch, you killed those kids. No one knows who Adam Lanza is. When you ask somebody about Sandy Hook, it's Alex Jones."
Yeah.
So I did not kill the children.
But do you feel any sense of responsibility for the way the lives of the Sandy Hook families were affected?
An emotional day of testimony after 3 family members whose loved ones were murdered at Sandy Hook Elementary School took the stand describing the harassment they endured as a result of Alex Jones' false statements.
People were, accusing me of lying, telling me Ben never lived, telling me that I was going to burn in hell and that I would pay for what I had done.
Hensel testified that after her husband Jeremy committed suicide in 2019, people went to their daughter Avielle's gravesite looking for evidence the family was faking his death.
I couldn't wrap my head around just one more family member being part of this narrative.
It's an industry, it's a business. They got $73 million from Remington. They've sued all these different groups and people. So no, I didn't kill their kids. I already said I was sorry before they ever sued me. And now they've just attached themselves to my name and who I am. They can get all the judgments they want against me. I have hardly any money. All those articles you see, it's like made up. Almost all of it's not even true.
You're not
He has an enormous amount of money. He's lying.
not doing too good money-wise right now?
I've never, like they had a financial expert in my rig trial, and he said Infowars is worth $130 million, and Alex Jones is worth $270 million. I don't have $2 million in cash. I don't have stocks and bonds. I don't have all that stuff. So it's like a joke. They can have $1 billion verdicts. It doesn't mean anything.
So they're expecting you to pay.
He has an enormous amount of money. He has an enormous amount of money. There's no getting around that. Every financial analysis that I've ever seen conducted on the kind of the kind of like business that he does, you know, he's doing enormously well for himself. Yeah. Now, Infowars doesn't make 800,000 a day. There were like peak days where it would make that much, but that's probably like far the outlier. It's probably reasonable to assume that like he pockets somewhere in like the low tens of millions every year. You know, after everything else, like after taxes, after wages and everything. Something like 10, 20, 30. That'd be my guess, you know.
$45 million.
It's like $47 million or something like that total.
You think that in time you'll be able to do that?
Oh, no, it's what's ridiculous. Like, and they have 2 more trials coming up in Connecticut and in Texas. And everyone's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get him." He's like, they've built me up into like I'm this giant creature, like all powerful, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yeah. And just none of it's real, so it's like it's funny actually. It's actually comical. I mean, it's actually hilarious. And then the Sandy Hook families, they already got $73 million from Remington. They're sitting there thinking they're about to get this big payday, and it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to keep the studio open?
Oh, I mean, I could do a show anywhere. I mean, they're not going to show anything now. They could run off some of our employees. Yeah. They could shut down some of our people, yeah. Which is their big job, to shut down America, get rid of American workers. I mean, that's the par for the course. But I mean,
what? Shutting down America? Well, it's like the closing of the great American industries. You've got the American automobile industry, the American steel manufacturing industry, and then you've got the American Infowars producer. It's what? American workers? We call upon Congress to pass the relief bill for the workers affected by the Alex Jones lawsuits. Republicans would do that.
As long as I don't want to quit or they don't put me in prison, they can't stop anything.
Was there a definitive year where big tech really teamed up to deplatform Infowars?
Yeah, it was 2018, early 2018.
Bay Area tech giants are taking action against a prominent conspiracy theorist.
Twitter gives Alex Jones the boot. Just into CNN, Facebook is purging right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Apple, Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube all
those
completely
DSL.
banned Infowars within 12 hours of each other.
Facebook said, "We have taken it down for glorifying violence and using dehumanizing language to describe people who are transgender, Muslim, and immigrants, which violates our hate speech policies."
States.
They had the heads of big tech, so they got together and colluded to shut me down. I knew they had to censor freedom because freedom was so popular. I mean, I knew that was coming, yeah.
How did that affect your audience size?
It didn't let us have, on average, that giant viral spread every day reaching 20, 30 million people. Instead, it was 3, 4 million people that were hardcore. But then they understood there was censorship, so they were grassroots putting it down. So it actually made it more underground and more avant-garde, more black sheep, more rebel, and more outlaw. And so it made it more successful in a way.
What would you do if you had a time machine?
You know, I think even though I got caught in their Sandy Hook trap, and I was covered other people's theories and barely did it, wasn't much of what I did on the on the timeline. I think I'd do it all again. I think this is just...
Part of me is literally just knocking everything off my desk. Oh my... He just keeps stretching out and just knocking a new thing off my desk. Insane. Artemy.
Gonna bring us to something bigger. I mean, technically, if I had it all over to do again, I wouldn't have been caught in that trap. But that's not how the universe works. I did these things, and I'm going with the flow of where I'm at. I did it from a good heart, and I think it'll be turned towards good at the end of the day. So I'm not worried about it. And I believe humanity's going to wake up. I believe we're going to win.
Oh, hello.
All right, so we're in Newtown, Connecticut, where the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting took place around 10 years ago. It's a special week for this town because for the first time ever, Alex Jones is being made to stand trial in Connecticut.
In a Connecticut courtroom just 20 miles from Sandy Hook, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones taking the stand, forced to face his own lies.
So right now we're on our way to go meet up with a trial attorney named Mark Bankston, who represented the Sandy Hook families in the previous defamation case in Texas.
Nobody thinks you killed the kid. Nobody thinks that, Alex. What you did, what you killed, is their ability to get over the death of their children. Look, I'm a parent, and I know my job. My job is to protect my kid. They couldn't be with their kids on December 12th, 2012, right? Like, they couldn't do that. And so when that happened, their job changed. Their job became to protect their kid's legacy. And so every day that this kept going on and they couldn't stop it, these parents are feeling like they're failing their kids over and over and over again. And I put that on Alex Jones more than anybody else in the country.
So, for those who don't know, can you describe the extent of the harassment that was experienced by the Sandy Hook families?
There's no way I could do it just sitting here with you. It's unreal. Initially, it just started with rough contacts. You get people who were emailing them, people would find out their phone number, call them on the phone. But then you had people starting to show up in Newtown and destroy the memorials they had for their kids. They had people showing up at their homes, knocking on their door. They had people going around and talking to their neighbors. And then it just kept escalating as more and more people got caught into the wildness of it. There's Lucy Richards, right, who was a woman who I have to have some...
I know I've said this, but, like, I don't know. Like, we do need to reconcile, like, criminally with stochastic terrorism, you know? Civil suits aren't enough. Civil suits take a lot of money to get into. At the end of the day, like, it's possible for grifters who profit off conspiracy to make more money, like, on the civil suit than they lose in the actual, like, emissions. There has to be some line, right? There has to be some line. The only difference between like a leader of a terrorist organization and a stochastic terrorist is like whether or not there's an official org. Like you can essentially you can almost literally completely legally structure something that has the same consequences as like an ISIS cell with no legal liability for the leader. As long as you're careful with the words you choose and don't have any official organizations around which you cultivate your members, you know? You can do anything. Now, obviously, there's a, you know... Pardon me, knocked all this shit over. Obviously, it's not easy to know where that line should be. There we go. But you all know what I'm talking about, don't you? I mean, you get this, right? Like you could have like you could have like like a Manson family situation. I mean, as long as you're doing it in the right way, you're not legally liable. You essentially just cultivate like a private militia of deeply mentally ill people who will literally die for you. But as long as you're not directly telling them to do anything, you're set.
Some level of sympathy with on some way because she's mentally ill. But she got obsessed with all these narratives and about Lenny Posner. She was in Central Florida. And when it got disclosed that that's where Lenny had moved to, and Infowars put up his Boca Raton mailbox where he picks up his mail.
Well, I've got an article here from a guy, I think was our last caller. He's been getting all kinds of grief from Mr. Posner.
It's like how the mob worked. The bosses didn't do anything directly, but until they changed the law, they were scot-free. Yeah, it's just a very obvious like loophole, you know? And it's a pretty easy one to weaponize as well. If you're a conspiracy guy online and you've got a lot of like mentally ill people following you, which if you're a conspiracy guy, you do. Conspiracy theories are always more appealing to the mentally ill for reasons that should be pretty straightforward, but are actually really complicated. But if you say stuff like, you know, our world is dying, it's being torn apart, bloody blah, like here are people, you know, here are address or whatever. There are lines that you can't cross, but like you can go up to that line and you can basically just like you know, you can get away with a lot. Look at libs of TikTok right now. Look at Matt Walsh. Libs of TikTok recently caught a 7-day ban off of Twitter for basically like pushing her followers to do a bomb threat on a children's hospital, which of course immediately Matt Walsh and libs of TikTok said, well, actually the left did this to make us look bad, you know. And then libs of TikTok got unsuspended and then a day later got resuspended for doing the exact same thing, you know. The only reason they haven't banned her is because Twitter's a coward. You know, they don't want to, you know, incur a conservative backlash. Not that it matters, because Musk will own Twitter soon, and libs of TikTok will actually be the only Twitter account.
Social media shut down due to Sandy Hook false copyrights. What's interesting is they list the address for the Honor Network in Boca Raton, Florida, 908 North Dixie Highway. There is no suite, but it's got 2 different buildings listed that address.
Well, we'll just start investigating that. And I guess I'm going to have to probably go on up to Newtown. I'm going to have to probably go investigate Florida as well.
She decided, okay, that's my call to action. So she started stalking Lenny and Veronique through Central Florida. She would call and leave these messages, and I don't know if you've ever heard them, man. And maybe we'll get a hold of them for you or something just so people can understand what this is. But creepy.
Did you hide your imaginary son in the attic? Are you still f***ing him? You f***ing Jew bastard? Look behind you. Death is coming to you real soon.
Just this awful, hateful stuff. These slurs and at him and that don't even make any sense. Yeah. I mean, she called him the N-word and accused him that Noah is still alive and that he's got Noah in the attic and sexually assaults him every night. And even after she was arrested by federal law enforcement.
Now, to be clear again, this woman is mentally ill, right? Like, this person is mentally ill. Like, they should be in an institution, you know? But, listen, you know how they say, like, people with mental illness are more likely to be the victims of violence than they are the perpetrators? That's overwhelmingly the case. Unless they're weaponized properly. Properly weaponized, a detachment from reality can make people obviously very dangerous. I don't think that exonerates her in any way. You know, even the mentally ill are responsible for their behavior. Would you say what Jones does is an act of violence? Yeah, of course. If you don't think that what Jones does is an act of violence, then you essentially you essentially like exonerate military leadership of the crimes committed by their men, right? Like you have to believe that even if you're not directly doing something, being the direct orchestrator of something, like that has to count for something, right? I mean, otherwise it seems like, I don't know, kind of a silly line.
And then she was sentenced to federal prison for a short period. Part of her conditional release is she cannot access Infowars. She's just simply not allowed to do that as a condition of her parole. I'm an X-Files kid, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a late 90s conspiracy guy. Man, conspiracy culture used to be fun. It used to not be so malicious and cruel. Area 51, fish-human hybrids, Roswell, I mean, it was kind of fluffy in its own way. Yeah. Like, it didn't really hit, it didn't really matter at the end of the day what's at Area 51. It was a mystery box we could all have fun with. And there was a time when Alex Jones was hilarious. We just all kind of like watched him when in his early days. But the moment he started commanding, I'll tell you, it goes hand in hand with the damn supplements.
Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure at Infowars.com. We sell books, videos, t-shirts, high-quality water filters, short radios, cook stoves, survival food of the highest quality. Brain Force sold out in 4 days. Liver Shield sold out in a week. Prostagard sold out in a month. We have the highest quality nutraceuticals out there, bar none.
Yeah. The government is going to starve you. Buy the prepackaged food, right? The government has released radiation into the environment by the iodine. You know, we were seeing that basically right after the month of Sandy Hook, his traffic went up darn near 50% from all the coverage he was doing that month of the hoax. So that caused them to double down because they've testified on the record. If we see traffic spikes, we try to emulate that. When Alex Jones said the school wasn't an operating school, when he said paramedics never even entered the building, when he said there are pictures of the children who they say died who are still alive, he didn't believe that shit. I don't believe Alex Jones thinks there's anything fishy about Sandy Hook, but he's going to keep saying it even right now. You know, he's still going to be weird about it.
Why?
It's not a matter of whether you believe it or not. It's a matter of whether you have carved a groove in your personality that the wheel just goes in that rut now. I think it would force a moment of ego he's not ready to confront.
The Infowars store is like the main revenue source, yeah?
I mean, if I need it to be. I mean, if I need to, I go to.
Yes, overwhelmingly so. He'll never answer this directly, but yes. The supplements and the prepper food and all that overwhelmingly are where the money comes from.
I can go to supporters and just get straight donations.
Yeah.
So
how do you go about doing that?
Just ask them for the money. The jury came in this evening with $4.2 million. I admitted that I followed disinformation, but not on purpose. I apologize to the families. What I did to those families was wrong, but I didn't do it on purpose. We are so broke that if you don't fund us, if you don't buy products at InfoWarsStore.com, we will shut down. So get a t-shirt, get a book, get Body's Ultimate Turmeric Formula, get Vitamin Mineral Fusion, get them all at InfoWarsStore.com and keep us on the air.
What do you think he deserves at the end of this road?
To no longer be in public life, right? Like, I don't... People have been like, oh, you're out to destroy Alex Jones. I don't want to destroy him. I don't care. If he wants to work at Safeway or manage a Sprint store, I don't care. I feel the right amount of justice is you should not be able to commercially market yourself as a public figure anymore. Like, you should exit the American stage. That's what I think is the correct result. Or at least that's what I think is the most utilitarian good result. But the money's not even really the question for me. The question is, will this suit be successful at stopping him from being on the national stage? And my worry is, like we said in the courthouses, it won't be, because the cameras will still follow him. Like, he can lose all of his money, he gets out there again on the bullhorn, and he starts building it right back up.
No, I told you I was going to shut it down before they sued me and shit on time. Not happening now.
You were going to shut down Infowars?
I was going to hand it off to other people.
He's lying. He's lying right now.
Not now. It's not a labor of love now, it's a labor of war.
So, like, even right now, like, this is still like a sales pitch, right? Like, I was 1 day away from retirement, but then the globalists, they attacked me one last time. You know, everything that he says is cultivated to like posture for the benefit of his audience.
We ain't shutting shit down.
So the question is, can this cause of action against Jones on behalf of these parents come to represent something bigger? Is it a bigger referendum on the false things he's saying? I hope so, man. I hope so.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see me picking my teeth, my enemy's bones.
He's doing it out of spite now? No, he's doing it for money, which is always what he's been doing. He's not changed in any way, shape, or form. You know, it's long has it been the critique of the socialist, right? But if ever there was a failing of liberalism, it is that liberalism is incapable of expelling its worst elements internally. You know, the liberal allows the fascist to rise, believing that fair discourse will be its downfall. And of course, no, you know, that's not how it works. But there's not really a way to meaningfully curtail this stuff anymore. You know, the internet is international. Even with criminal charges, people can just run and do something somewhere else. What are the comments like? Mostly people celebrating Andrew here. That makes sense. Alex Jones should box Sam Hyde. That I would watch. 100%. Absolutely. He can't stream from prison. Unfortunately, the logistics of how you would craft any kind of criminal legislation on something like this, that is very, very difficult. I'm no lawyer.